Hi, I'm Chantel Cohen, and I help you become one again. And today we are talking about the stigma of mental health. And I want to talk about it just in the context of two issues. Why is it a stigma? It's because one, people feel embarrassed. And two, most people think that they should be able to solve it themselves. And so let's just talk about the first one. Is so many people are embarrassed by the fact that they need to seek mental health services. They feel like people are going to think they're crazy or that there's something wrong with them. And that is what holds most people back. It's for some reason we are so comfortable as a society with seeking services to change our bodies, like a personal trainer. Or people are so, they're really comfortable with saying, hey, you know what, I need help with my diet, so I'm going to get on this meal plan. Or that, you know what, I need help with my studies or studying for the GMAT. Let me go to a tutor. But for some reason, when we start talking about mental health, people start getting embarrassed. They think that people are going to think they're crazy, and they think it's somehow a weakness. And so, guys, that embarrassment, I can't promise you that there aren't going to be haters out there, people who just don't agree and will say something to you about it. But is that enough of a reason to live this life, the only one that you have, in a state of, acute anxiety or acute sadness? It just doesn't make sense. Because you're worried about what someone else will think. Again, those haters will be there, but you've got this one life. And so living a life of embarrassment, I want to stop doing it, guys. Come out of the shadows and realize that you've got to take charge of your own mental health. I know many of you have said, I'm doing a gratitude journal. I've got my vision board and I'm doing all these things. And those are excellent things. Excellent. Please don't discontinue doing those things. Please continue. However, there are strategies that therapists use to help people through acute sadness, acute anxiety, through the traumas of abuse, or a grieving of a lost loved one. We have had that training. And so that's why when you're thinking to yourself, which is the second thing, why can't, I should be able to do this on my own. Why can't I get over this? Is because the strategies that you're using are not working. And that's okay. Again, you'd go see a personal trainer if you weren't getting the results that you wanted with your workout. So a couple of things I want to say first, because I was talking about the training that therapists have. There's a difference between mental health services, which are from a licensed therapist or an MD, a psychiatrist, versus a life coach. Life coaches, they often deal with situations that may be challenging and sometimes internal states, but they're not looking at mental health. They're looking at mental challenges, and there's a difference, guys. And so when you're seeking out services, I want you to know the difference. Mental health challenges versus, those challenges that we have just around an issue. And so sometimes, and I want you to, if you're kind of struggling with that a little bit, think about the fact that when we have a mental health issue, we often find that it impacts other areas of our life. Whereas when you're struggling with just a challenge, sometimes it's a challenge at work or a challenge in my relationship, but it kind of gets isolated to that. And so oftentimes, you can deal with sadness in life coaching if it's something that is typical. Like if someone has felt sad over a breakup, Well, it's normal to feel sad over a breakup. And so that's something that you can probably talk through with your life coach. But if you're having a sense of hopelessness, if you're not taking joy in your life, if it feels like you're overcome by sadness, that life almost feels like you're walking waist deep through mud, it really feels hard. And that even though there are things that you should be happy about, you're playing this loop over and over in your head about one aspect of your life that's gone wrong, or you're living in the past. Guys, that's a mental health challenge. And so hopefully I've given you some clarity over the two. Both are great. They just, you want to seek services depending on the challenge. And so, as you know, I'm a licensed therapist and I'm a life coach. And so I do both. And oftentimes people do those separately. Sometimes you can find one person who does both. And so just know that when you're seeking out those mental health issues, that you go to someone who can actually give you the strategies that you need. So a long time ago, this is like back in the 80s, I was 19 years old, and I was really, really struggling with an identity issue around being raised by my grandparents and just really struggling with that and not knowing what to do with it because it was kind of starting to impact the way I felt about myself. Wasn't sure what to do about it. Even though I had these wonderful grandparents, it was really plaguing me. And it was also showing up in my relationships a little bit. And so I was working at the Neuropsychiatric Institute, and that's in Los Angeles at UCLA. And this woman would come in each day, and her name was Susan Diskin, and she had an office in Century City, and I decided to go see her. I had an opportunity to talk with her a few times, and I knew that if I didn't deal with it, that my life was going to slowly not be as happy, and I was going to make decisions based on this thing I was wrestling with, rather than really making decisions from a place of strength. So I started seeing her. And the reason why I started seeing her is I just simply liked her. She had all the great credentials. She was a PhD. She was published, all that. But it really came down to, I knew she could solve my problem and I liked her. And so that was the opening. So sometimes, guys, when you're choosing someone, you want to make sure that you have rapport with them. You want to make sure that they can solve your issue. And remember that therapists provide 100% confidentiality. So I know, let's go back to that time that I was struggling. I saw her for, I think, 2 to 3 years, somewhere in there. It's been a long time, guys, but it was maybe 2.5 years. I paid $300 a month. I literally had to forego getting a car in order to pay for therapy. And it was the best thing I ever did for myself. I feel emotional talking about it because not only do I feel really great about myself, I feel mentally sound. I know who I am, because that's really what I was struggling with. I know who I am. But not only that, I found this profession. It so profoundly affected me that someone was able to talk to me, and it shifted my entire life, guys. I not only found myself, but I found my profession. I found a sense of purpose. I found a sense of power. And it was one of the best things that I've ever done for myself. Susan, if you're out there, I'm sure she's somewhere in Los Angeles. You profoundly affected my life. And so, guys, had I let that embarrassment stop me, had I let my dollars getting a car, I eventually got a car, thank goodness, but I wouldn't be where I am today because my family really didn't believe in mental health. My grandparents didn't like the fact that I was seeking mental health services. And I had to sort of say that this is for me. This is not for you. This is me taking care of myself. And so I was glad that even though I was struggling with my identity, that I could say that. So guys, again, I can't promise there won't be haters. I can't promise you may not feel a little bit of embarrassment at times, but I'm telling you, the more that you talk about it, the more that you will empower other people, and people will start to talk to you. They'll start to say like, yeah, there was a time where I went to a therapist, or I was struggling, or I'm struggling now and I don't know what to do. That you're not just, when you seek mental health services, it is not just for you. It is for your community, your tribe, that when people see you getting help, you empower other people. So the stigma is only going to go away unless we start talking about it. So that's why I think that it's so important for us to have this conversation. Secondly, not only is there this sense of embarrassment, but there's this sense that I should know how to fix my own problems. I should just know it. And again, you know what? Don't have a good strategy around eating? Get a meal plan. Don't have a great strategy for working out? Get a personal trainer. But God forbid that you ask someone to help you be a thought partner, to help you through that. And so that's what life coaches do. They're thought partners, and therapists, they're thought partners in a very different way because they have this training that they have either cultivated through 2 to 5-6 years of schooling in order to make sure that they bring you best in class methods, so that you don't have to live with acute sadness, that you don't have to live with acute anxiety or trauma. Guys, don't feel that you have to solve everything on your own. Thinking that you can solve everything by just talking with your friends and family, they just don't have the training, and they're biased, guys. And also sometimes they get fatigued and they don't have the answers. But also you're not going to get confidentiality either. And so thinking about trying to solve this on your own, I want you to just kind of take that notion and kind of throw it in the trash. You don't have to do that. You don't have to solve those issues all by yourself. There are professionals that are here to help. So let's start seeking services when we need them. Let's start supporting each other in this journey. Let's stop feeling embarrassed. And let's talk about when we seek life coaching or mental health services. And not only that, let's support each other and to say, you know what, you don't have to solve it all by yourself. And maybe Cindy says, you know what, I really want you to see someone because I think it would be a great idea for you to have a thought partner, somebody who can help you in this journey who's trained. Guys, it's okay. You're not crazy. You're not weak. These are, in fact, it's a sign of strength to be able to have good self-esteem, to say, I need help. And so it's all right. I promise you. I'm Chantel Cohen, and I help you become one again.